If you don't already have an idea, just look around you. There are all kinds of things that we run into throughout the week. Do you have kids or an elderly grandparent? Maybe you have a problem at work that just needs a solution. Are you often fighting to get something to work properly? Ask yourself this throughout the week. Through AIC, you can take your ideas and make them a reality. Templates for innovation. There are 4 different kind of ideas that you can kind of go from. There's subtraction, multiplication, division, and task unification. So these are each one you can use in different ways in developing a product, but I'll go over each of them separately. Subtraction is the simplest of the 5 patterns. It's really easy. You just remove a component of the current product. So you're taking away, taking part the lead that's in the fuel, or you're just subtracting it from the other sources and kind of breaking it down so you can look at what are things that need improvement, how can you use this in an innovation, how can you solve a problem by just kind of looking at what are the different parts of it. Multiplication would be ways of improving a product by, like for instance, the first picture is a cupboard, and lots of people store their garbage cans underneath their cupboard. Well, if you attach it to the cupboard, then it's gonna be easier for the user. Another one is the razor blade. When you increase the number of blades, you get a closer shave. Those are kind of different ways that you can make a product better. And so when you're thinking about what you want to do for an innovation, this is a good one to think about. Division is when you divide the existing product into component parts, and so you're breaking it up. An example would be a carpet. If you took sections from a carpet, well, one section gets a stain on it, some Kool-Aid gets spilt on the section, well, you can take that section out and replace it with a new one. Those kind of where you divide the products out. Preserving the division of a product is divided into such a way where each part preserves the characteristics. So you want to make sure that you're making a real product, even though you're taking it away from something else, you want to have it be a valuable product. Task unification is when you unify 2 tasks into a single component. Why not just see whether it can be made to do double duty? And I really like, first the luggage. We used to have duffel bags that we'd have to lug and carry around. Well, now they have wheels, they have multi-directional wheels, and those are task unifications. You're making them better so that you don't have to have a cart to carry your luggage. You can just roll it itself. It's all in one. Another example is a box that already has the instructions on the outside. You're already making the box. Why not make it better by making it more useful for the end user? Attribute dependency change is the relationships that exist between attributes of the product and the attributes of the immediate environment. Colors, size, gender, so those are things to be thinking about when you're doing this process. In the example, you can look at how the glasses actually change colors when you come in, or when you go outside into the sun, and that's making it to where that they depend on each other. Function follows form. Listening to the voice of your product requires you to perceive it in an entirely different way. Steps to follow. So breaking it down into what are the real parts of what you're trying to do. Don't waste time debating which ones to not include, but you want to just make a list. So here's an example: is if you were doing a telephone, and if for your innovation you wanted to do something to better that telephone, you want to first start out with what are our components. So you've got a microphone, a keypad, you have a speaker, a headset. These are all the components. Next, you want to list your attributes, and remember those are the colors, other physical things that are part of it. So you want to say a standard telephone, it might last 20 years. It might only last a couple, and that might be part of the product design. Are you going to do the subtraction pattern? How are you going to approach this? The authors warned that it's important at this point that you may not want to judge these new forms, no matter how strange they seem. So you want to really just get your ideas out there and not just limit yourself. You want to be open to kind of new possibilities that can come out of how do you subtract a part of that phone so that it can reduce cost, or how do you put this new attribute into this new product. So once you've visualized your product, you want to think about its potential function. And this is going to be really important in our innovation competition because we want to see how your product is actually going to be used. So you want to ask yourself, are the customers' needs, what are the customers' needs? What benefits will it offer? What are the drawbacks of the product or the new innovative part of your product? What challenges to alleviate its shortcomings? Is it going to be extremely expensive in R&D? How can you alleviate those expenses by maybe using a different component or something that can help your product? And then, do we have the capabilities to produce this? If you don't personally, as an innovator, have the capabilities, who can you partner with, or what resources are already out there for you to get those? So the next is you want to form a team. Your team can be made up of all kinds of people around you. It would be just as you're developing your idea to come up with, asking your mom or your neighbor, what do you think about this? What advice can you give? You might have somebody that is really good at marketing or is always really current. Talk to them and see. Look at other forms of what you're trying to make and see who their customers are and see who is producing their products, and that might give you more ideas to kind of make your product even better. Take the path of most resistance, they recommend. With subtraction, instead of adding desirable components, you are trying to remove them, and so that can be pretty challenging at times. Instead of replacing the missing component, try to operate without it. Instead of, look at the existing components within it, and then try to figure out how it's going to work without that. And that, will help just kind of challenge you in the innovation process. When you're choosing the right tool, if you have a highly complex product, a lot of technology things fall into that category. Start with subtraction. Try to take out components to make it better. Controlling costs. If you're trying to control costs, you want to do task unification. That's where you're doing more than one component. Patterns are often used in conjunction with one another, and I have an example of an operating room that in the operating room you always want to make sure you have enough battery life, or if the power goes out that you have something there to back up your system if you're in the middle of a surgery. So what they came up with is to take a battery that would take up a lot of space and actually cost a lot of money. But they would use that same battery, that backup battery, for multiple different machines and have them available. Now, after you're hearing all this, I want to do a simple experiment. Try coming up with an exciting innovation, and just on a blank piece of paper, you have 1 minute to do it.